What the VW Beetle didn't want you to know about its fuel tank. Before smartphones and electronic sensors, there was the Beetle. One car, one fuel tank, and one big question: how much fuel do I have left? Believe it or not, the early VW Beetles up until 1961 had no fuel gauge. Instead, there was a magic lever under the dashboard. When the engine started sputtering, you just pull the lever and voila! A hidden reserve of 4 liters was unlocked, just enough to reach the next gas station or to learn your lesson. In this video, I'll show you how I replaced the old fuel sender unit that had stopped working. It was as old as my Beetle, 42 years, and just gave up one day. A faulty sender can cause the gauge to read incorrectly, always full, always empty, or jump around erratically. In my case, it always read empty. The fuel sending unit in a VW Beetle. In today's video, we're replacing the fuel tank sender on my Beetle. I'm having some issues with it. It's not working, so let's see if it can be fixed or not. In all classic air-cooled VW Beetles, the fuel tank is located in the front trunk, right behind the spare tire. It is held in place by 4 metal brackets and bolts, 2 on each side. Between the tank and the car body, there's a foam rubber seal that helps absorb vibration. First, I checked whether all the fuses were working properly. The fuses are located under the steering wheel on the left side. Usually, fuse number 1 is the one that supplies power to the fuel gauge system. Depending on the Beetle model, you should double-check the fuse position on wiring diagram. In my case, it's in position number 1. After confirming that the fuse is okay, the next step is to check whether 12 volts are reaching the resistor. Some people call it a vibrator. The 12 volts positive contact is a bit awkwardly positioned on the back side, facing the cabin. That powers the fuel gauge. Be very careful here, because the connector is very close to the body of the car, and there's limited space, which can lead to a short circuit if you're not cautious. The housing gets its ground through this screw, and it's very important that it's clean and tight to ensure proper grounding. Next, check the wire that runs to the fuel sender. It could be broken or disconnected. It's attached right here. Also, check if the sender cover has a good ground. Sometimes, the screws and the metal brackets that hold the fuel tank become rusty and don't provide proper contact. There's one screw in particular, one of the 5 screws holding the sender, that's especially important. It has a copper washer, and its purpose is to provide a ground connection between the sender and the tank. There's even a small letter G stamped near that hole to indicate that this is the grounding point. If all of this checks out, then it's time to suspect the sender unit itself. The sender is removed by unscrewing these 5 screws. The fuel sending unit in a VW Beetle is part of the system that measures the amount of fuel in the tank. It consists of several parts, usually a plastic or metal float, a ball or cylinder, that rests on the surface of the fuel, and a lever that moves a potentiometer, a resistor, connected to the fuel gauge on the dashboard. This fuel sender that I removed is in pretty bad shape. It's rusty because it's old and has spent many years submerged in gasoline. Let's measure the resistance it gives at the starting and ending positions. A proper Beetle fuel sender should give a resistance between 10 and 70 ohms. As we can see, the sender gives a good reading at the beginning, but in the middle of the scale, it loses conductivity. Now I'll compare it with the new sender, and I should get the correct values. There we go. The values are good at both ends. So now I'm confident that the issue is resolved. These two small limit tabs can be slightly bent and adjusted to make sure the gauge on the dashboard reads correctly when the tank is full or empty. In most cases, it's not necessary to touch them, but it doesn't hurt to check if the fuel level readings are accurate. On Beetles from 1962 to 1967, the fuel level was displayed on the dashboard using a mechanical cable system, which was connected to a small gauge mounted directly on the fuel tank, commonly known as a sight gauge. Starting in 1968, an electric fuel sender was introduced. Until around 1972, it used a single wire. Later models used a two-wire setup. The sender uses a resistor to send signals to the dash gauge. This is also when the external fuel filler cap was added to the right front fender, making refueling easier. Let's go ahead and install the new fuel sender now, and then check if everything is working properly. Before mounting the sender onto the tank, it might be easier to first insert the screws through the holes in the gasket together to make installation smoother. I realized that a bit too late, after struggling to align the screws through the rubber gasket. Tighten all 5 screws, and don't forget to tighten the one with the copper washer firmly, as it's essential for grounding. Now connect the wire coming from the dashboard gauge, and let's see. Yes, everything's working perfectly, as you can see. Replacing the sender is relatively easy on most models. There are aftermarket replacements available, as well as NOS, new old stock parts, that are popular among restorers. I managed to get my hands on a high-quality aftermarket replacement. I've fixed the fuel sender. Everything's working as it should now. See you next time. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and watch another videos on this channel.